Hello, I'm Kristen from Kristen Cain Style. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a style and mindset coach, and I can help you go from stuck and overwhelmed with your wardrobe to a place where you love your clothes and you can't wait to get dressed. If you would like my help working one-on-one with you, I do that. Style Therapy is my one-on-one style coaching package, and there's a link down below if you would like to book a consult call. It's a free 30-minute chat where we discuss what your struggle is and how I can help. It is my really greatest pleasure to be able to help women transform the struggles that they're having with their style so that on the other side they have this wardrobe, this simplified wardrobe that they actually love. And not only do they love the pieces, they love to actually wear them, because I think sometimes we build these wardrobes that are beautiful pieces and we can justify them and we put them on and they look nice and they're great, but we're not actually wearing them. We're wearing kind of the rest of the stuff that isn't really the amazing wardrobe. And so there's a disconnect somewhere. So it is the work that I do that, will help you kind of get clear on that and simplify your wardrobe so that it contains only pieces that you really want to wear any day, and that collection of clothing supports the life that you actually live. So if you'd like to book a consult call, that link is down below. Take you right to my calendar and we can pick a day to chat. So today I am going to talk about other people's opinions. This has come up quite a bit recently with one-on-one clients, and over on Instagram, I have had some folks talk about it. I think even here in some of my past videos, people have mentioned, that this is a struggle for them, that they have kind of this block about what other people will think of what they're wearing, and it prevents them from wearing the better outfit. And so if this is something that you are dealing with, I find that the things that are the most personal are also most universal. And so if one woman is struggling with this, chances are a lot of people are feeling this. I certainly have felt it in my own life. And I understand that there are different seasons and different times of our lives where we feel more confident and we have more style self-trust, and we're in environments and situations where getting dressed and being well dressed is amazing. And then there can be other times and other situations where we feel overdressed if we even put on, one thing that is a little too elevated. And so I want to chat about kind of what to do if you are the most stylish person in your friend group or your family or your town or your company, and kind of how to navigate that and what that might be looking like for you and what to do about it. If you're kind of stuck in this struggle between, I really love clothing and I really love getting dressed and I would like to dress a little bit better, but I'm afraid that I'll be judged, or I've been judged in the past, or people have always said, why are you so dressed up? I mean, that's one of the things I hear repeatedly from my clients and also from friends who happen to dress to the nines and, live in a community or function in a community where people aren't dressing that same way. It makes others uncomfortable when we show up in a different way than normal, than mainstream. And so if style is one of the ways that you sometimes show up a little more elevated than others, it can cause a little bit of friction and be a little uncomfortable. So I want to chat about that today. So it's a common obstacle. If this is something that you feel or have felt or sometimes struggle with, know that you are not alone. It is difficult to really rock authentically the clothing that we love in some situations, because it might look too dressy or might look like we're trying too hard when the rest of our community or our family or our friend group is not putting in that same effort. If everyone else is wearing yoga pants and sweatshirts and, ratty sneakers or flip-flops, and you always show up in jeans and a blouse, that's too much for some. Some people look at that and you are way too overdressed, when really it's jeans and a blouse, or even jeans and a t-shirt if the rest of your community is not dressing that way. So I understand this, and it is on one hand a real struggle, and on the other hand, it's really something that if you can change your mindset about it and begin to create a different thought pattern and different set of beliefs, and just start with baby steps to build the self-trust necessary to wear whatever you want, it's entirely possible. And then you don't have to worry about what anyone else says or does. You can just show up authentically as your most amazing self. And so I want to say, first of all, that I live in Boulder, Colorado, and Boulder, Colorado is not known for being a super dressy, super stylized location on the planet. And I moved here from outside of Philadelphia. I was much more familiar with kind of the East Coast vibe, and that was more stylish and tended to be more put together and a little more formal or more dressy than what I deal with here. And there have been, times when I'm bothered by it, or when I'm aware of it, not really bothered by it, more aware of it, that I tend to sometimes look more put together than other women. And I am a really simple dresser. My choices of clothing and the way that I combine them is usually pretty understated. And I'm not someone who is very elaborate in my dressing. And so I don't believe that I'm doing anything that would not be possible for most of the women who might be looking at me and thinking, why is she so dressed? It is also my business to be a stylist in all areas of my life. So when I go to Whole Foods, I'm usually pretty mindful, not that I am dressed, but I'm usually pretty mindful that I have on clothing that is somewhat put together, because it's my brand to be put together. So that said, I do live in an area where everyone is in yoga clothes or bike clothes or hiking clothes most of the time. And I have clients who have beautiful wardrobes, and especially post-pandemic, or during the pandemic and now after, they are trying to navigate, what do I actually want to wear? Because the wardrobe that I was wearing before, I then defaulted to yoga pants literally every single day for 2 years, and now I'm not even sure what I like in my closet. So where you live and who you hang out with certainly can dictate, how you show up and what you wear. I want to mention two amazing women. One is a dear, dear friend of mine, and one is an acquaintance who I would call a friend. She's also been a client. Just two neat women. Both of them are a little bit younger than I am. The one I met when I moved here, although she is originally from the East Coast. And every time I would see her when she would come into Anthropologie and I would work with her there, she was dressed to the nines. Not in a flashy, urban, formal way. She just always looked put together. And she would often wear skirts and blouses. And when I would be in the fitting room with her and we'd be picking out other outfits or other pieces for other occasions, when she would change her clothes, her undergarments always matched. She would have on a matching set of bra and panties, and she would have on a silk slip of some sort if she had on a skirt or a dress. I always looked at her and thought, I want to be you when I grow up. I love the aesthetic that you present. You always look so put together, even in your undergarments. And I think I've mentioned her here before. I will not mention her by name, but I think of her, she's sort of a litmus test for me, because I think, what would she do? She would put on the better outfit. And I'm sure sometimes when she walks into Whole Foods, people do take notice, and maybe some of them do judge or feel less than when they look at her and wonder why she's so put together, but she looks amazing and she doesn't look out of place. She's not dressed in a way that looks really formal or really corporate, or like she has evening wear on running into Whole Foods on a Tuesday morning. She just looks like she has style self-trust, and she is confident in the pieces that she wears. They look incredible on her, and she is a reminder to me regularly to wear the better outfit, wear the better piece, even if you don't think that everybody else, would ever wear that, or you might think that once you walk out of the room, somebody would, say something under their breath, or not feel, like they could ever show up like that. I'm going to say a little more about that in a minute. And the other person is a dear friend of mine, and ages ago, our daughters rode horses together, and she would come to the barn in a beautiful sundress and kind of wedge platform sandals. I usually had on, really ratty jeans or cut off denim shorts and a t-shirt and sneakers. And I would look at her and think, okay, yes, the, platform sandals and the sundress maybe aren't perfectly authentic for the barn, but she made it work. It was how she dressed. That was her authentic self. And so whether she was running errands, whether she was picking her daughter up from riding, whatever she was doing, that's how she dressed. And she didn't care what anyone was going to say about her. And she looked amazing. And I think the rest of us kind of looked at her and thought, yeah, why don't we give a little more, attention to what we're wearing when we're doing these errands? And so that said, if there's someone like that in your life who is sort of that inspiration for you, and you think, yeah, I would really like to dress like that, but I'm kind of afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of what my husband would say, or my daughter, or my best friend, or the women who I work with, or whatever, whoever those people are for you. I want you to understand that you're not doing yourself or anyone else any favors by shrinking. That idea of playing small so that everybody else can be comfortable is really not doing us any good. And so I'm going to grab my glasses here, and I'm going to read just a couple of lines from Marianne Williamson, who has said this so beautifully, and just kind of to remind us of really what our purpose is here and how dressing in a way that is less than so that other people don't judge us is really not serving anybody, not us or them. Okay, so Marianne Williamson, Our Greatest Fear is what this is from. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And so I guess I would ask that you kind of keep those words in mind. You can Google that poem quickly and easily. Keep those words in mind when you go to get dressed, because you're shrinking and wearing something less than, something that doesn't feel authentic and fabulous to you, just so that no one says anything when you show up at the picnic and you look more dressed than everyone else. It doesn't serve anybody. Your showing up in the better outfit might be just what that other person needs to finally go into her closet and get rid of all the things that don't fit and all the things that she doesn't like and all the things that bring her down. And the next day or the next opportunity, choose a better thing to wear because you gave her the permission by showing up at the picnic or showing up in the school carpool line or whatever in an outfit that was a little bit more elevated. So I think the best thing to do is to ask yourself, if you were getting dressed in a vacuum, if there was no one else around, no one else to consider, how would you get dressed? What would you wear if nothing else mattered? And this can feel a little bit scary because the thing that you might wear if you were getting dressed in a vacuum might be some sort of caftans, because your ideal self lives on a tropical island and you would like to wear really brightly colored one-piece loose-fitting caftans. And you live in an area where that would seem a little ridiculous or a little silly. And yet, I guess I would ask you then, how can you incorporate that vibe that would be your, I'm getting dressed in a vacuum, no one is going to judge me, I'm going to wear whatever I want, and this is what I choose. If that's your thing, how could you turn that into your everyday wardrobe? And in some cases, you could really just wear the caftan, put on a great pair of sneakers with it, and grab your bag and head out to the store, or whatever the case is. In other, circumstances, you could look for blouses or for tunicky tops that have that same caftan vibe that then you would wear with jeans and boots, so that you're being authentic in, kind of bringing that element into your everyday wardrobe, and you're not taking it so far that it doesn't feel authentic for you or that it feels too much for you, because that's important. You want to dress in a way that feels authentic for you and not outlandish and too overdone. And yet you want to get dressed enough so that you realize you're not shrinking yourself and trying to fit into someone else's mold of what you should look like when you show up at a school function or when you show up at a party or when you show up to work. So what would you feel most comfortable wearing? It's kind of like dancing. I'm not a good dancer. And so if I think, okay, no one's watching, no one's going to judge me, I'm going to dance very differently than I'm dancing if I'm at a wedding and there are lots of people around. And so that's not really a good thing. There's nothing wrong with my dancing. I don't happen to be a good dancer, but if I am at a wedding and I want to express my joy by dancing to a certain song the same way I would dance in my bedroom if no one were looking, that gives someone else permission to dance that same way or to sing really loudly or to, whatever their version of that is, where they are waiting for someone else to be brave enough to take the step that they're not ready to take, so that they then can be inspired by you wearing the better outfit or dancing full on. They can be inspired by you and think, okay, you know what? Next time I'm going to do that. She managed and she survived, and so I actually want to step it up a little bit. And the thing to consider is that the judgments are usually in our minds. We're usually the ones judging ourselves. We're interpreting and kind of imposing upon other people the judgments that we have on ourselves. We're fabricating this idea, imagining this idea that someone is going to judge what we wear based on either prior experience, maybe in a different situation, a different circumstance in our past. Someone did judge us for what we wore, and they said, why are you so dressed up every time I see you? Why are you trying so hard to look nice when the rest of us are wearing jeans and sweatshirts? Whatever that might look like in your own life, we have those past experiences that then kind of inform, who we are and what's happening and how we show up moving forward. And yet we can decide that that happened in the past and it doesn't have to be our future. It's just a thought we're thinking. It's just something that happened in the past. Our brain grabbed onto it and decided, okay, you should never get more dressed than everybody else. So if you do that, that's dangerous. Don't do it. Our brain wants to keep us safe, so it tells us to wear the downplayed outfit. We can decide, thank you very much, brain, but this time I'm going to wear the better thing. I'm going to wear the blazer instead of the sweater, even though the blazer makes me feel a little more put together and a little more badass. And that makes me a little nervous because these people have maybe said stuff before, or in a similar situation, someone has judged what I've been wearing, but I actually feel better in the blazer, so I'm going to wear the blazer. So pay attention to the idea that the judgments are usually in our own minds. And I have worked recently with a few different clients who, once we got into kind of their limiting beliefs around style and what was really preventing them from wearing the clothing they wanted to wear and showing up most authentically, in their clothing, they realized that the thoughts that they were thinking that other people would think about them, they were thinking about other people, or they were thinking about themselves. So I had a client who was sure that by dressing better, by wearing something that was a little more elevated, people would think that she was superficial. And so if that's what you believe, then of course you don't want to wear the amazing silk blouse, because you don't want anyone to think that you're superficial if you're a really authentic, amazing human. And so that holds you back, because maybe at some point in some situation in your past, you saw a woman in a beautiful blouse or wearing a really bright color, and she maybe seemed superficial to you in that moment at that time. Maybe she actually was superficial and very stuck up and full of herself, and that translated in that moment, and your brain grabbed onto the idea that it was the bright color or the beautiful blouse or the expensive clothing or the blazer or the trench coat or whatever it was. And now in your mind, you couldn't possibly wear that because then others would judge you the same way you maybe judged that person. And so it's kind of hard to hear, I think, for all of us, because we don't want to feel like we're judging anyone else. And yet we kind of always are. And it might even be for a moment before we realize, well, wait, it's fine that she wears that or has that type of haircut or glasses or makeup or whatever that maybe isn't authentic for us, but there's not any reason to judge. That's her most fabulous self. She should be rocking that, whatever that looks like. And so if we can give ourselves permission to do the same and really recognize that in most cases, the idea that someone else is going to judge you for dressing a little bit nicer should just be let go. If they do judge you, that's on them. That's on them. If you feel amazing in what you're wearing, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It really, truly doesn't. Even if it's your own husband or your own partner, or your own kids, if you feel authentic and amazing in what you're wearing, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Their judgment is irrelevant. They can have their judgment and they can sit with it and do whatever they want with it. And you can say, if it's actually something they would ever say to you out loud, you can say, thank you very much for your opinion, and go on rocking your blazer or your bright colors or your high heels or whatever the case is. I hope that helps, because it really pains me when clients say that they can't wear things because in their town nobody gets dressed up, or in their business nobody wears pencil skirts, or in whatever that situation is for any given client, because I just don't believe that we should be holding back on showing up as our most authentic selves from a style standpoint because we're afraid that someone might judge us. We instead, I think, ought to look to it as, what if I inspire one other woman to get out of her sweatpants and go find herself an amazing pair of jeans, or put on the amazing jeans she already owns? Isn't that what we're all here for, to kind of help each other rise up and be our best selves? And so I think, just to kind of wrap up, you can ask yourself, what opinions do you hold that might be, kind of what you're projecting onto others? What things do you think about stylish women? Do you believe that stylish women aren't smart? As I've talked about on here before, what limiting beliefs and ideas have you hung on to for a long time that are maybe what's really preventing you from getting dressed and looking amazing? And if you have friends who are really judging you for how you dress and how you show up, maybe you ought to look at that friend circle and really get clear on, if they can't accept authentically you, who you are at your core when you want to get dressed and show up as your fullest, most amazing self, if that person gets judged by them, are they really your friends? Like, I don't want to stir up the friend pot here, but it's kind of, we should all be elevating each other. If one person wants to wear yoga pants and one person wants to wear ripped jeans from 2 decades ago and one person wants to get dressed to the nines, that should all be able to coexist. There's nothing wrong with any of those versions, of an outfit. It's a matter of, if you're holding back from wearing what is most authentically fabulous for you because you don't want others to feel underdressed or out of place, or like you're too much, I would question that. I would look at where that's coming from, what you would dress like if everyone in your life was supportive, if everybody always was supportive of what you wore, how would you dress? And maybe start with every once in a while showing up in that outfit and see how it goes. See who you might elevate along the way, who might follow you on that journey. Like, oh, where'd you get those jeans? I think I should would you shop with me? I might want to try a new pair of jeans like that. You've inspired me to get out of my yoga pants. Just food for thought. I hope this is helpful. I would love to know your experience with this and with people feeling like you might be too dressed up for the life that you live, or, why do you care so much about your clothing or spend so much time and money on your wardrobe and that sort of thing. I think it's unnecessary. We should all just be kind of doing our own thing. And I will say about Boulder, that is a positive. You can wear anything you want in this town, be it a ball gown or yoga pants or a bikini or anything in between. And so as much as it is not a town where people get really dressed up in real clothes, I like that everybody can kind of coexist together. And I will mention, this is a little unnecessary tidbit, but I will mention that this necklace right here, I was not wearing. It was my dad's. It's the chain for his pocket watch. And when he died a couple years ago, I was given a box of his stuff, and this was one of the things in it with his pocket watch. And so I've looked at it a bunch in the box and have always thought I wanted to do something with it, but it wasn't so much that I was afraid someone was going to judge me, but I wasn't really sure if it made sense as a necklace, whatever. Long story short, a couple of weeks ago, I watched a video of Sienna Miller, the fabulous Sienna Miller. And she had on a chain that was a pocket watch chain, and she mentions that it was a pocket watch chain. And immediately I thought, this is the permission I needed to wear the pocket watch chain. If the fabulous Sienna Miller is going to rock her pocket watch chain, I'm going to take a page out of her book and polish that chain up and wear it and think of my dad. So, that's just kind of one example of, I was holding back, I wasn't doing it, I wasn't sure if it would work, and then someone decided to wear it, and it inspired me to pull it out of my own, box and put on mine. So I hope that helps. If you have comments or questions, please drop them down below. If you're not already following me over on Instagram, I do a live Q&A, a lifestyle Q&A every Tuesday at noon Mountain Time at Kristen Cain Style over there. And you can pop over and ask your question, just shoot me a DM, or I put a question box up on Sunday or Monday before the Tuesday, and then I'll answer the questions on Tuesday. All of those lives have been recorded for almost a year now. So if you wanted to go back and watch and look at what the questions are in the captions, I write down the questions, and then you can, just click the different videos and watch and look for whatever answers you might be interested in. But there's quite a bank of great questions over there that I answer every Tuesday. So if you have a question, feel free to drop that in the comments below or DM me over on Instagram. Tuesday live, noon Mountain Time. I do that every week. I will be back next Friday with another video. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, Style Therapy is how we do that. You can book your free consult call down below. There is a link. There's also a link to Style Therapy, which will explain more about the whole process and what is included and how it works. And that's it. We can get started on getting you to be wearing a fabulous functional wardrobe so that you can get on with your life looking and feeling amazing. That's it. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you next Friday.